I'd like to call this meeting to order. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in 2 newspapers posted on the bulletin board of City Hall and on the doors of the 3 schools as required in the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, and as amended by PL 2020, Chapter 11. Mr. Conover, please lead us in the flag salute.
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have roll call, please?
Mrs. Bankbrook? No. Mrs. Brookbank?
Here.
It's been that kind of a day. At least I called somebody. You're here. Mr. Conover?
Here.
Mrs. Zatika?
Here.
Dr. Dalton?
Here.
Dr. Myers? Mrs. Samuelson?
Here.
Mr. Sweeter? Mrs. Law? And Mrs. Endicott?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to have a public hearing regarding opening the superintendent's contract to include a stipend to assume the duties of acting director of special education services and principal of New York Avenue. Any member of the public like to address the board regarding that matter? Dr. Carney, do I want to make sure the public, if they're watching at home, can call in? Is that
3-2.
any public would like to address the board regarding that matter and they're watching from home, please call 927-1032. Okay, hearing none, then I will close public hearing for the reopening of the superintendent contract. And at this time, I would like a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel, school safety and security.
Motion, DeChico.
Thank you. Thank you. Be it resolved by the Board of Education of the City of Summers Point, the County of Atlantic, New Jersey, that upon passage of this resolution, go into executive session to discuss personnel, school safety, and security. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, at this time, we will go into executive. Will members of the public kindly exit, and we will let you know when we return to public comment, to public session, and invite you back in. Thank you. can I have a motion to approve the minutes from our regular meeting and executive session meeting?
Motion, DeChico.
Thank you.
Second, Myers.
Thank you. Any questions? A roll call, please.
Dr. Dalton?
Yes.
Mrs. Brookbank?
Yes.
Dr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mrs. Samuelson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeChico?
Yes.
Mrs. Law? And Mrs. Endicott?
Yes. Thank you. Motion approved. Okay, at this time, I'd like to open to meetings to the public. Would any of the members of the public like to address the board regarding agenda items only?
Hello. My name is Janine DeSaccio. I live on Holly Hills Drive here in Summers Point, and I teach language arts and literacy in the library. I'm new to this, so I just have a curiosity, and perhaps you can help me understand. So I've just become a little more adept at looking at the agenda before coming, and I've been watching it for about a week, and I noticed that we have an organization chart that was posted, and I saw there was one job description posted, but I didn't see any others. And I'm just out of curiosity, I was wondering if the public has the ability to see those at all or have any input. I just don't know, so I need you to help me understand that. Thank you. Do I stand here or do you want me to sit down?
I just want to make sure your question is regarding the on the agenda regarding one of the.
There was an organization chart posted that spoke of like positions and the flow chart kind of thing.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you say flow chart. I didn't hear that part. Okay,
sorry,
that's okay. The organizational structure. Is
correct.
That what you're asking?
And then I had noticed that there was an attachment for one of them, and I just don't know if that's something that the public is privy to know about, because I believe you guys are voting on that for item number 15 tonight. That the job descriptions will be voted on tonight, right?
So your question is about the proposed organizational structure.
Yes, more specifically,
it's listed under public content, so you should be able to see that.
Job descriptions.
Oh, the job description.
Yeah,
okay,
there was one there, and then I just was curious if there were job descriptions for the other jobs.
Mrs. Endicott, the other job descriptions I think she's referring to are the ones that came out of the business office and they weren't put up in the public sector. That was my mistake.
There was one for the middle school principal.
Oh, that's not the one I'm talking about. Payroll, bookkeeper.
Oh, no, ma'am. No, there's
Okay.
the superintendent one, and then there's the two principals, and
That's the organizational structure.
yes, I thought I said that.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So the organizational structure is listed under public content, but your question was about the actual job descriptions.
Yes.
Which aren't listed under public content.
Yeah, there was one there, and then it wasn't there today. And I'm new at learning about that. So, and of course, this is kind of a new thing for us. For the 19 years I've been here, I haven't seen one of those. So,
Can I ask a question for clarification? This is Alice.
hi.
Hi. Are you asking, do we have job descriptions for everybody in the organizational chart?
No, ma'am. Just, yes, for the organizational chart. And just because I don't know, right, it's my curiosity to understand how things are shifting and to see who's taking on which roles. And like I say, my confusion, I think, came from the idea that I think it was about a week ago or even about 4 days ago, there was one attachment for one of the jobs. And I believe that was the middle school position for principal.
You were able to see it, but then
I could see it,
but then you couldn't. So
and then there were none for the other
be adjusted.
positions.
it's my understanding that we would approve the positions, and then at which point
They would be distributed.
they would be distributed upon approval.
Oh, okay. Is that what it
tonight.
is? Okay.
Once those descriptions would get approved, then they would be sent out among the districts, and
Oh, I see. I didn't know what the procedure was, but thank you very much for clearing that up.
You're welcome. No problem. Any other member of the public like to address the board regarding agenda items only? If anyone's watching from home, again, feel free to call 927-1032 if you'd like to address the board. Just going to give it another minute just in case somebody wants to call from home. Okay, at this time, public forum is closed. I'd like to move on next to presentations, and I will turn it over to Dr. Connie Ray-Yoder for her to provide us with our two presentations this evening.
Okay, first presentation is our school spotlight. This is something we started last month that we would like to do and highlight our programs at our different schools. This month, we are going to be highlighting the preschool program with Julie Parker and Allison Carroll. Take it away, ladies.
Hi, how are you? Hopefully we will educate everybody on play-based learning this evening, and you'll go home and you'll want to take out your blocks and you'll start building patterns and identifying colors and shapes, and you'll be ready to go. Okay. You want to start? Oh, sure. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Allison Carroll, and I am a special education preschool teacher at New York Ave. Do I have to state my address?
No,
Okay.
Presentation. That's okay.
Okay. So this is just an overview of how the preschool day is broken up. And you'll notice there's a big chunk of our time that is called choice time. Where the kids can choose the centers that they want to play in. And what I think a lot of people miss about choice time in preschool is that it isn't just play. The materials that we place in the centers are very intentional for the students to engage with and to meet certain learning goals. But as you can see, we do have group time here. We do have a lot of gross motor time built into our day. And the times that we don't get outside, we do it inside, whether it's music and movement. We do have some materials in the building like scooter boards and things that we can utilize when we can't get out. Do you want to add anything here? Yeah, we also ensure that our students receive daily small group instruction. This year with the small class sizes, we're able to do a lot of one-to-one instruction, which is fantastic. But in a typical school year, we may have a group of 2 to 3 students. As she had stated before, we have a lot of our day designated to choice centers, which converts to play-based learning. Children are learning, but the play is intentional, and the teachers are guiding that particular, the centers and the materials that are there. In a regular school day, in a full day program, we would offer 3 meal times a day: breakfast, snack, and lunch. Right now, we're just offering 1 meal time because of the shortened day. And also in a full day schedule, we would have a rest time included. Again, we're not having that this year because it's a shortened day. So what you'll see on the screen there is the current schedule that we're following. But we are working with Dr. Cry in extending our day in a couple of weeks, hopefully at the end of April. But all of these activities that you see here are all derived from the New Jersey Department of Education's official creative curriculum schedule. So these are not activities or times that we're just kind of generating. This comes from the state-approved curriculum, the creative curriculum schedule that you can find on the New Jersey Department of Education's website.
So the curriculum that we use is the creative curriculum, and it's one of the couple of New Jersey approved curriculums for preschool. The thing that we love about creative is that it really is based on building like higher level thinking and inquiry skills. So there are things that are called studies, and the kids can come up with questions that they want to know about these studies. And the important thing is that they're learning how to find out the answers, not just that they're learning the information about the study. Do you want to go over?
Yeah, and the creative curriculum, as we had stated before, is a play-based curriculum. So students will engage in purposeful play that is designed to foster student learning in all areas of development. So this curriculum encompasses everything: literacy, math, social studies, science, tech, the arts, and most importantly, social emotional learning and sensory development as well. The learning takes place, as we said, during Choice Center time. And this year, because we have virtual students as well, we try to allow the students to recreate that choice time at home through the implementation of virtual choice boards. So options that they would have potentially in the classroom, we try to allow the parents to mimic that at home the best that they can using the materials that they do have. And we just said, you know, kind of in speaking with our talking about our schedule, that students will work with teachers in whole and small group activities, both in person and virtually, to achieve specified goals. These goals will reflect the needs of the students and will be assessed regularly to determine growth and achievement. Students will also take part in a variety of in-depth studies, as Allison stated, that will spark curiosity, challenge students to ask and answer meaningful questions, and help students to master a variety of skills. Currently, all of our classrooms have the creative curriculum fully implemented, and we're also using the assessment tool that goes with it that we'll discuss in some later slides.
So I won't talk a whole lot here, but just basically the creative curriculum that we use really emphasizes the importance of play and how a lot of those symbolic play skills are necessary for later learning. And they do actually challenge kids to use more higher order thinking. And so if anybody stepped into our classroom, they would see a lot of play-based learning, but it is very meaningful and purposeful. You can sometimes even see in our centers specific open-ended questions for staff to engage with students and to ask those questions. For example, like in the block area, what are you building? Oh, who would live in a building like that? How big is your building? And it's helped with our paras to put some of that stuff right in the center so that we're all asking really good questions when the kids are playing. I'm gonna get the next one back.
So as we were saying before, the creative curriculum encompasses all developmental skills, and most important for preschool students is the social emotional aspect. Social emotional skills are worked on every day and during every activity time in preschool. And what you'll see here are some of the social emotional skills that we actually are collecting data on daily. So these skills are intentional, and these are the types of skills that we want our students to learn and be exposed to so that they can grow and develop, in a meaningful way and become good citizens and have, good character skills. Learning to regulate emotions and behavior, following limits and expectations, taking care of their personal needs, establishing positive relationships with peers and adults, participating cooperatively in group situations, and developing problem-solving skills.
Math skills that are covered in pre-K. This is an area that we collect constant data on, probably every single day. And our assessment tool that goes along with our curriculum will allow us to input this right online, where the kid falls within certain skills every day that we put data in. But just some of the general things that we're working on are identifying and naming shapes, colors, counting to 20, identifying some printed numbers, demonstrating understanding of one-to-one correspondence. Aside from row counting, actually counting a number of items, sorting and matching items according to various attributes, showing understanding of spatial awareness, and concepts like more and less, starting to use some of that language to demonstrate understanding of measurement, like taller, shorter, this heavier, bigger, things like that. Patterning, completing patterns, creating their own patterns, and knowing the difference between numbers and letters.
So a lot of the mathematics skills that we see and that we incorporate are done through whole group learning, small group learning, and then obviously in the choice centers. And at any given time, because of the intentional materials and the guidance that we institute in the classroom during choice time, we can elicit these particular skill sets.
You want to start with?
Yeah. So same as math skills, the literacy skills you can see in our whole group, small group, and choice center activities. We're looking for students to demonstrate phonological awareness, phonics skills, and word recognition, listening to rhyming words, alliteration, demonstrating knowledge of the alphabet, both upper and lowercase letters, demonstrating book handling skills, essentially all pre-reading skills to help these students to become confident readers, comprehend and respond to books and texts, answer questions, retell stories, participate in daily read-alouds. Oftentimes I get a question from parents, why do we read the same story several times throughout the study? Because each time we do a read aloud, we're looking at the text in a different way, and we're trying to give the students specific skills that they will then mimic when they become confident readers. So whether it's looking for new vocabulary, identifying setting, identifying characters, being able to identify, the problem and solution in the story, and even just to listen to a story for enjoyment and being able to have that focus and attention is all really important skills to teach children to read. Demonstrating writing skills such as writing letters, numbers, their name, and the use of inventive spelling.
Right. Communication skills, and this kind of falls under the umbrella of social emotional skills. Communication skills are something that we really focus on across all content areas. Just developing language skills, for example, listening to and understanding increasingly complex language, following directions that involve several steps, using language to express wants and needs, and using language to solve problems with peers or get help when needed. Just building vocabulary, in preschool, kids are still learning the rules of conversation, turn taking, things like that. The social rules of language. Is there anything here? Yeah. Okay.
Gross and fine motor skills. We do a lot of fine motor work during our small group time and obviously during choice centers. And gross motor skills are incorporated during outdoor play and through music and movement in the classroom. What we're looking for, and we're also tracking data on our students' physical skills as well, that students can develop traveling skills. So things like walking, running, jumping, and climbing, demonstrate balancing skills, gross motor manipulative skills. So being able to throw, catch, roll, kick a ball or an object, use their fingers and hands to complete tasks, and using writing and drawing tools appropriately. And the reason why we're collecting all of this data in all of these areas is to get a true picture of the whole child, and to be able to see if there are areas of strength or if there are areas of weakness where we as educators can then tailor our teaching or tailor our the materials that we have or the small group time, and making it really intentional so we can improve upon those skills for those students, for those areas of weakness.
Yeah, and just to add on with fine motor, there's really, when we're doing a lot of this stuff, it's very developmentally appropriate. We have 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds in the program this year. So before those students are going to be expected to write words and sentences, they have to do a lot of other things with their hands. So we're working on things like zipping their own jacket, and a lot of those things are also self-help skills that are going to be important as they try to gain independence. Social studies and science. We do in the classroom a lot of science discovery. It's been a little bit different this year for sure, because you usually have like big tables of sensory things the kids can explore. So we've done a lot of like individual bins this year, but we've been able to still do a lot of it. And this helps them to use scientific inquiry skills. We do a lot of working on like making predictions about things and then trying to find out if their prediction was correct or not. We demonstrate knowledge of living things, developmentally appropriate knowledge of the earth, physical properties of materials. We're learning to use tools and technology to find out this information, and demonstrating knowledge of self, the community, and people around them, and how people live.
And social studies and science skills are incorporated in whole group learning, small group learning, and throughout our choice centers every day. So data collection, as we were kind of hinting to throughout the presentation, that we are constantly collecting data on these skills. The Teaching Strategies Gold Assessment Tool is the name of our data collecting tool, is linked directly to the creative curriculum. It allows teachers to collect data daily on the developmental skills we were discussing. Each day, the pre-K team uses the Teaching Strategies Gold Assessment Tool to measure student growth and achievement for specified skills in all the areas of development. The tool helps us to track progress for each student and document it using photographs, work samples, checklists, and observational notes. We have the Teaching Strategies Gold app right on our phones. So sometimes if, I was joking with Dr. Carr, if you ever see us like on our phones in the classroom, I swear we are not texting, we are not calling, we are using our app and we are documenting and we are collecting data on our students. And it's so awesome. You can take a picture, you can do a rating scale, you can put in like an anecdotal record, whatever you think is appropriate for that. And you can also do it pencil and paper too, like using a traditional checklist. You can print it out from the platform. So it's a really great all-encompassing tool. And what happens to all that data is it's all synced online. And so like today, when we were preparing to output our report cards for our preschool students, all of the data we collected is now measured there for us. And we can just check that that is correct. That's the level we think the student is at based on the data we collected. And then it's generated into a report that we can share with parents. The amazing thing about our platform is it can be put in different factions. So you can see it in a standards-based report. So meeting the expectation, exceeding the expectation, or approaching, the expectation or the standard. Or for us, we like to give to our parents a narrative so they can see this is what your child is working on and this is what your child would do next. And it's a really wonderful way to share information with parents because it lets the parents and the families know that your child is doing things that are developmentally appropriate. And although they might not be at the same exact skill set as another child, they're still working towards the goal that they need to be working towards. So the information gathered will be shared with the parents. It drives our instruction. It's used to rate the report cards. And we share that out at conference time and then obviously every trimester. And assessment is ongoing and always happening daily in the pre-K classroom. Students never stop learning, so we never stop documenting.
And our assessment tool is, when it was created, aligned with the preschool teaching and learning standards. So it'll just show you, like, for example, if I'm doing a small group from creative curriculum, it's going to show me like what objectives I'm working on, what I'm looking for there. And it's a developmental continuum. So it'll show you about where the child should fall with their skills according to their chronological age. But if they are falling a little bit below there, you can still check off, this is where your student is. This is what we'll be working on next. It's nice because then you're presenting something to a parent that says like, this is what they are doing right now, rather than just saying like, they couldn't do this, they couldn't do this. And then virtual learning. So virtual learning is challenging for pre-K. I do think we got into a pretty good groove with it. And, we working around parent schedules, I think was maybe like more of a challenge for some of us, but we all did our best to offer a couple of group times a day so that if somebody couldn't make, let's say the 9 a.m. group, then they could hop on at a 1 o'clock group. I know that everyone was doing small group instruction during their virtual sessions. I have a small number of kids and was trying to meet some IEP goals. So I would do individual sessions and would get to see every student a couple times a day.
And, the key thing here is for 3 and 4-year-olds, attention spans are very limited. And we have to consider appropriate amounts of screen time for young developing brains as well. So we did our best to ensure that each virtual session was time efficient. It's very engaging. We do put on a little bit of a song and dance. It's hands-on, so we're not doing worksheets. We are doing hands-on activities that can be recreated in the home, or the materials are provided by the preschool teachers that we would have dropped to the students prior to the virtual learning. We're still doing that now for our virtual students on a regular basis. All of our virtual sessions align with the creative curriculum and focus on the same objectives that you would see in the classroom setting. With the possible extension of the pre-K day, we are transitioning to the synchronous teaching with our virtual students, along with our in-person students. So now if you were to walk into our rooms, that you would see our virtual students there, as well as our in-person students, and we're learning simultaneously. Yeah. And also, we have several student teachers this year in preschool joining our classrooms virtually. So actually in that photograph there, you'll see my student teacher is doing a building lesson with one of my students there. So it's been an interesting process, but I think they are doing their best. And I will say that our student teachers have been extremely creative and flexible this year.
This is just some parent feedback. We had a couple of parents that wanted to share their perspective of the preschool program.
We did ask all of our parents, and we were planning to include all feedback, whether it was positive or negative. And we received these 3 responses. So we'll read them to you so you can hear what the parents are thinking. Just move that out of the way. Yeah. I can read it from up here.
All right.
You got it. Okay. Yeah. The pre-K program in Summers Point has had a wonderful reputation for many years and continues to uphold that standard. We are so fortunate to have talented teachers and aides, but most importantly, the socialization and interactive pre-K curriculum is what gives our child the most impact. He has flourished socially and intellectually since the start of the school year. I am grateful to have the opportunity to send him 5 days a week, and I am in full favor of the benefits of a full day when school is able to do so. I love this program and have recommended it to several friends who are weighing educational options when deciding where to purchase a home. Sydney Summers.
Okay. Another parent says, I think the program for New York Avenue is amazing and very coordinated. I was very nervous about starting off the school year with COVID at first, but I've never felt more comfortable with my child attending school there.
That was Melanie Medina. Okay. My son has been a part of the New York Avenue preschool program for about 1.5 years despite COVID. I have nothing but good things to say about this preschool program, and my son has come such a long way with the help of his wonderful teachers, aides, and therapists. Only downside I could say is not being able to have a full day yet. He enjoys his time spent at school, and I think the couple extra hours a day could benefit him and his fellow peers. Lindsay McCabe. No. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
Thank you very much. How are you guys? How how have you been navigating? You know, you have choice centers and your music and movement. How have you guys been navigating with COVID and all of the toys and the manipulatives and all the things that you have and multiple children using them and kind of dealing with all that? How's that working out for you?
So something that's kind of always been very important to the preschool program, even before COVID, is hand washing. And we've really increased that. Our students start our day, they enter the classroom, they wash hands. We wash hands between almost every single activity time. We also will regularly clean the materials or try to make sure that the materials are individualized. Like say, for example, in the art center, that the children have their own individual art bin, or when they come in the morning and they're doing a small group, they have their own individual materials to be able to do that. They each have their own seat that's spaced apart, whether it's in kind of like a corralled area or at the table for like whole group instruction. And I would just say that we are doing our best to keep our students distanced when we can. We've taught them to do, like the elbow bump or the air hug or the air high five. But they are 3 and 4 and they do need some physical feedback and they do need hugs. And so same for the adults, that we are just increasing our hand washing. Obviously, we're wearing our masks regularly and just, trying our best to maintain as much, sanitation and cleanliness as possible so that our students can have a normal as normal of an experience as they possibly can.
Even with the cleaning outside too, right, Joel? Like we in between recess time.
Yeah, we don't. We also don't mix. So like our classes don't play on the playground together. Like we all have our own individual times. We already eat inside of our own classrooms. So our small group stays with their small group the entire day. That's the only people that they come in contact with.
And I mean, in my room, like my pairs are really great about disinfecting toys. We are just functioning with lots of little bins of toys this year so that everybody does have their individual things. Same in the art area. I think all of our classrooms are pretty much look the same with that kind of stuff. And the kids have been really great about wearing their masks. I definitely thought that was going to be more of a challenge. And we did like some lessons about it in the start of the year and it hasn't been an issue. So.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the board? Comments?
Just wanted to say that the first time I went into one of the preschool classrooms and saw the way that the kids, I thought, okay, well, my son's staying at blocks all day. There's no way he's moving on. And the way that you, as teachers, the way his teacher convinced them to try all the different centers and the way that, they weren't agreeing with somebody else in their group. So they just went and changed to a different center and made a smart choice. I just think what you're doing is so impressive. And I love the way it's all organized. And my one question was, can you just explain how are the 3 and 4-year-olds together?
Yes. So with the preschool expansion grant this year, we have opened our doors to 3-year-olds as well. So currently we have mixed groups. We have 3 and 4-year-old students. Now, the neat thing about this particular curriculum and about the assessment tool is that, like Allison was saying, it's based on like a developmental continuum. So you can present material and the materials are very intentional. So maybe for a 3-year-old, the manipulatives that I'm putting out in the science center, the different animal sorters. For the 3-year-old, it might just be labeling the animals or identifying colors or being able to count up to 5. But for the 4-year-old or some of our students who are turning 5 now, they might be tasked with, going in a more challenging direction where we're asking the students to please, count 1-to-1 correspondence all the way up to 20, or can you sort by multiple attributes? Can you pattern? Copy my pattern? Can you create your own pattern? So we're using those tools and we're meeting the needs of all of the children as we see appropriate and what's developmentally appropriate for their chronological age.
And is the goal for the 3-year-olds who will stay in preschool as 4-year-olds to have the same teacher or to switch classrooms?
From my understanding, that's how programs have worked in the past with some other schools that have had the preschool expansion grant, that they've had their 3-year-olds stay with that particular teacher and loop for the next year. And then they kind of act as like peer models in the classroom for the start of the school year. I don't know if that'll happen. Hopefully we can make that work.
We've talked about it, yes.
We have a couple fabulous 3-year-olds this year, so it would be lovely to have them in our classrooms again.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Any questions or comments from the public for the preschool program? Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, and then moving right along to our next presentation, I'm bringing in both of our principals at Dawes and Jordan Road, and we are going to be presenting on our program. Don't mind my son's face. I'm sorry about that. We are going to be presenting on our bouncing forward, increasing our time. And I'm going to start. So the presentation was put together by myself and Mrs. Supp and Dr. Koss. And I'm going to start with just a real quick overview, and I apologize, a real quick overview of timelines for more in-person instruction. Obviously, we know that February 22nd, we had our pre-K and some of our special needs at-risk students back 5 days a week on a half-day schedule. March 1st, we had our hybrid students alternating cohorts on Wednesdays to increase more in-person time. March 8th, we transitioned kindergarten back to 5 days a week of a current half-day on the current half-day schedule. And what we'd like to propose is starting Monday, March 22nd, that we would like to bring back first through third grade on 5 days a week for a half-day schedule. April 12th, the next transition would be, and this is 8 days difference from March 22nd through April 12th because of spring break. We would like to transition 4th through 8th grade or Jordan Road back to 5 days a week of the current half-day schedule. April 26th, 2021, we'd like to transition all of our hybrid students not only to a 5 day a week, but we'd also like to make sure that they go from 5 days a week on a half-day schedule to an extended day. And that extended day looks approximately an additional hour and 15 minutes or so per school. Some notes is obviously we've been trying to get in touch with all of our virtual students. We've been very lucky to have not only our school safety officers helping us with calls, our secretarial staff helping us with calls, guidance department helping us with calls. We're actually tracking down a lot of our families and to make a determination of whether they would like to be back in person or not, depending on capacity. It is a first come, first serve kind of situation because we obviously do still have a capacity within the classroom. And right now, actually, most of our preschool classrooms are almost maxed out because we can only have 10 students in those classrooms. And then as we move up through to elementary and middle school, our rooms are looking between 15 and 16 students based upon 6 feet social distance. We are working very, very hard to maintain that 6 feet social distance. And we do have to note that we do have IEPs that are driving a lot of our instruction, and we have to make sure that they take priority when we're bringing students back to the school based upon programming needs. This is an overview that I shared last month, and this is just talking about the multiple measures of evaluating how we stay open and how we increase our time. And those things are regional statistics. Right now, we are in the moderate range. We were in high up until about a month ago. While North Jersey is still at high. So overall in the state, we're doing pretty well. We are seeing a tiny bit of a spike right now, but that is, we're in vaccination period and things like that. So we're hopeful that that's going to change. Governor's executive orders and directives drive a lot of what we do, along with our district data and our COVID dashboard. If you ever want to find out where we are, which I have to change again tomorrow, if you ever want to find out where we are on the COVID dashboard, that is on the main page of the website. And it shows our updated statistics based upon, and we added 2 categories recently. We used to have just listed our COVID-19 cases for students and staff. We've added students that are in quarantine, and we've added presumptive cases as well, like students that we've sent home or whatever it may be that are in the process of being tested, so that we have a really transparent look at our statistics for our school. In addition, we're looking at federal legislation, and obviously we're in the middle of trying to help each other get vaccines. I actually reached out to Walgreens with the help of our nursing department, and we're looking to actually have this be a vaccination site. So that's something that we're working on now. We applied on Monday. In addition, we have our coordinating pandemic response team, which is our administration, our nurses, our SPEA leadership, our school physician. We brought in our last pandemic response team meeting to review this proposal. We brought in our instruction committee members, in addition to parents. as well to give us feedback. And we're hoping that we can submit a reopening amendment to the county office. It's not required, but we would like to have it on file and post it on the website by tomorrow, if possible. Our safety measures or daily screening protocols through OnCourse, that has just recently been updated according to the changes, because now the state Department of Health actually has one set of criteria that you have to have 2 or more, and then there's another set of criteria, it's 1 or more. So we just recently updated that on our screening protocol, and that is something that all parents, all staff fill out every single day. And if for some reason a student arrives at school and has not filled that out, they are sent to the nurse in order to have that screening done before they're allowed to enter the building. We're also very, very hyper vigilant on 6 feet social distancing, masks for all students and faculty. We actually have just received sneeze shields, and we're working on installing them with clips because they're not real sturdy as far as staying up by themselves, but the sneeze shields are here. Frequent hand washing breaks and hand sanitizer throughout the buildings, classrooms, et cetera. In addition to the fact that I have to give a huge shout out to our nursing department, because they have been fantastic with contact tracing and looking into close contacts and making sure that they're talking staff through and parents through this whole process on a day-by-day basis. They have not hesitated to help me weekends, nights, whatever it may be. It's been a really, it's been very comforting for me to have them as a resource. What I'd like to show you now is New York Avenue, and this is information about our preparedness. You just saw a preschool presentation, so you obviously know that there's a lot of things on here that we are doing as far as in our classrooms, daily screenings, social distance. When we extend the day, we've talked about rest time only for the students that might need rest time. The rest will go outside during their scheduled time breaks because it still is not a full day. So some of our students are not going to need that rest time. But when they are resting, they will be at a 6 feet social distance. And we've talked about possibly barriers or something like that in between if we can. So we're also working on getting the teapot, which was something that I'm learning about. Our master teacher is going to be coming in over the next couple of weeks and evaluating the classrooms for behavioral supports, et cetera, in the classroom. Wearing masks at all times, bathroom breaks with sinks and disinfectant in all classrooms. Hand washing procedures, I actually observed it when I did a lot of observations the other week where the students came in from outside from being dropped off. They went right in, they put their stuff down, they rolled up their sleeves, they went in, they washed their hands, they came down, they sat in their spot. The students for 3 and 4 years old, they really do know procedures and they do a really nice job. And our social distancing markers throughout the building and quarantine if necessary. And we do have our nurses in all 3 buildings, which have been really helpful. Right now, these are our class numbers. This was just most recently updated. We have had a couple more requests come in, but right now we have a couple classrooms that are maxed out. And we have very few students right now that are in virtual. So I'm very excited to have most of our students back in the building at New York Avenue. As far as our schedule, this is our half-day schedule currently on the left, and this will continue until April 25th. And you can see that this is just a sample schedule to give you an idea of what it would look like. And then as far as the extended day schedule, we're going to be adding an hour and 15 minutes, and they'll be doing more with lunch in the classrooms and then moving the students outside, movement breaks, in addition to following up. And then the teacher prep and lunch will be at the end of the school day in order to extend that day nicely and have students in the classroom. As far as our steps moving forward, we're still working on planning lunches, although I think we've got it pretty much figured out. Our plans for rest time, which I think we have pretty much figured out, in addition to plans for recess and activities. And really our next stage for New York Avenue is just planning on how do we get back to a full day. So that is currently where we are at New York Avenue. Are there any questions from the board? Okay.
I had a general question now about New York Avenue, just for the benefit of the public. The COVID dashboard that you referenced, is that the number of cases total that have happened in the district, or is that the current active cases?
It's current active cases is the first column. We've added the second column of possible presumptive cases we're waiting on testing results for that are currently quarantined until we get those results. And then the third column is for students that would be students or staff who would be considered close contacts and are in quarantine.
Right, but so those numbers are all current.
They're current.
Not like a running total.
We have a running total, but that's for our own use, internal use, to keep track of everything. We are required to report that to the county office as it comes up. So Debbie actually does that at the end of her day when necessary.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So moving on, Dr. Koss, you are up. Return to dogs.
Good evening, everyone. So where are we now at Dawes? We're in the same spot with the 6 feet social distancing. That allows us 16 students per classroom. Like everywhere, everyone is wearing masks at all time. And to echo what Julie and Allison said, the kids have had no issues really with the masks at all. They know that they need to wear them. If they get a drink, they put them right back on again. If they have a snack, they put them right back on again. So the mask wearing has not been a concern at all. We had a couple of classrooms at Dawes that do not have sinks. So just to add an extra layer of on-hand protection there, we added an extra hand sanitizing station to each of those classrooms. We've built in some hand washing procedures, much like what you just heard the preschool teachers say. In some shared spaces, we've put desk wipes right at each table so that they're easily accessible for a teacher or a student just to grab. Our daily screening and on-course continues. And of course, Nurse Sue is out at the door for kids who have not completed their screening. In fact, she's coming in early each morning to double check our lists versus the on-course list so that teachers at doors have the most up-to-date information about who's completed that screening at home and then who needs to come over to her door to be checked. Like all the other buildings, we've got the social distancing reminders throughout. We have a quarantine room. And as of yesterday afternoon, when I updated all of this, I think we were down to like 5 families that we had not heard back from at this point. So they have till tomorrow, but we're still waiting. So our pre-K kids have been back 5 days a week since February 22nd. Our kindergarten students returned 5 days a week on March 8th. Not sure why Danielle has 32 remaining seats. That was probably my typo because she has 10, 2 remaining seats. So this is where we are right now. You can see in the land of pre-K and kindergarten, we've heard from everyone. And while these numbers changed a little bit today, not a lot. Like Jenny, for example, is at 15 students today. So those kids are back. In first grade, our intent is to return on Monday if the board approves that. Right now, we're not waiting for any first grade decisions either. We've heard back from all of those students, and we have 7 students who have chosen to remain virtual in first grade. In second grade, prior to my arrival at Dawes, they had placed 2 fully virtual classes in second and third grades. So one of those teachers in each grade level is coming back to taking students in the in-person students. So you'll see that's why like Mrs. Jensen has 18 virtual students and everybody else has none or just a couple. The couple are a result of some specific IEP needs and those kinds of things. But that's why you're not seeing any virtual students in the other classrooms there, because Mrs. Jensen has agreed to keep those students that are remaining fully virtual because she has had them all year. And kind of the same thing in third grade, we did a little bit of shifting around today, but here too, you can see that Mrs. Cohen has the 19 virtual students who will be remaining with her. And then Mrs. Willett has gone back to being an in-person student. And so that has allowed us at this point at Dawes to bring back everybody who has requested to return. And it has allowed us to take some folks who were on a waiting list because they were new registrants and bring them in person if that was what they requested. So here's our sample schedule. It varies from what we're doing now in an increase in language arts and math time, giving folks an hour and a half for both of those activities. It's an additional 20 minutes of lunch, which we will be eating in classrooms. It adds a 20-minute recess that will be staggered throughout the buildings and throughout the day so that students are not all outside all at once. It is the addition of 10 minutes back to specials. Currently, teachers have a 30-minute special period and they are regaining those 10 minutes at the end of the day. Here we put it back into the day, and we added back in science and social studies, and then giving teachers their lunch at the end of the day. So what do we have to do next? We needed to reallocate some duty assignments now that we have almost all of our students coming back. We knew that morning arrival time needed a little bit of extra support outside. We had grade level meetings this week, so we really talked a lot about how to use those available seats and how to best use our staff and our resources to work for kids. So we need to get out to teachers or to families, excuse me, all of the reminders that kind of go with the beginning of school, because Monday, if approved, is really like the first day of school for a lot of our kids again. So those arrivals about, those reminders about arrival and dismissal, about health and safety. One did go out today from Nurse Sue, just reminding folks about the importance of staying home if you're not feeling well and doing the on-course screening. And then of course, the plan for staggering lunches and recess. But for us, that's a month out. So we'll have those conversations as we move into April.
Any questions for Dr. Koss?
Any questions from the board? Okay.
Okay, Mrs. Supp, Jordan Rhodes up.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. So our plan begins with the capacity and how we address capacity issues within the classroom. So of course, we were working with facilities and our staff to increase room capacities. Jim Waniak, Jeff Kendall, our security officers, really had to go into the rooms to see what the setup was going to be able to accommodate the numbers that we had. But while we continue to maintain all of our social distance recommendations of 6 feet between desks, and then also continuing to take safety precautions. So since the beginning of the year, we have had, the installed hand sanitizing centers and the signage that's up in the hallways and around the classrooms as reminders and all the things that both Dr. Cry and Dr. Kaz already spoke about. One that is specific to us is that we have, even though our classes are content specific, our classes have kind of stayed in their own little cohorted bubble. So when the students come in, they come into their classroom for that day and they stay in the class. So I have to give a shout out to the flexibility of my teachers because they actually move to our students instead of our students moving to them. So we worked also with the tech department to work to get the classroom set up for the use of the instructional equipment within those classrooms. And again, just trying to continue to consult with our teachers on the setup and the resources in there to make sure that we maintained effective instruction for the students that are both in person and virtual. The average capacity of our classroom is 16 students. Most of our classrooms are set up, actually, well, I will say most of our classrooms are set up to fit 16 students. We had some extra requests today that put a couple classes over that, and we were able to accommodate that by either moving some things around in one classroom to accommodate more students and moving some additional furniture out. Or in another classroom, we are actually, or in another grade, actually 2 grades, we are switching classrooms between teachers to be able to accommodate the numbers that are within those classes. So again, the teachers have been really working with me to accommodate those numbers so we could get the most students in that we can at this time. And then tomorrow is our last day for hybrid requests. So here are our numbers by grade levels. And I definitely, I have on there that the spots remaining and it being approximate because we know that within the grade levels, even if we looked at each specific homeroom, based on the students' programming and who gets pulled out for certain classes or for certain subjects, but then has to go back into that class. Our spots remaining are actually kind of fluid. And if you look at those numbers, they actually already changed at about 4 o'clock this afternoon when I received 3 more requests, and we let in 1 more student from 4th grade to in-person and 2 more in 8th grade to in-person. So they're constantly changing, and we're hoping we get them all in by tomorrow. But we have a pretty good idea of the amount of students we have coming in. And then April 12th is our day where we are planning to have students back in 5 days a week in person. Like I said, hopefully by then we'll have everything set up so that we know exactly which rooms we need to accommodate and move things around. Again, based on students' programming, if we need to add some desks here or there or move classes to different classes. The virtual students will remain virtual. We have been doing simultaneous instruction pretty much since the beginning, and everybody is on board doing that now to make sure that we maintain a comparable level of instruction for both our in-person and virtual students at the same time. And April 12th, we will continue the half-day schedule. And then starting April 26th, our plan is to go into the extended day schedule. So our hybrid students that are 5 days will continue to be 5 days. Our virtual students will remain virtual following this schedule. And our extended proposed schedule is from 8 to 1:30, where students would be dismissed at 1:30. If you want to click on that for me.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay, no worries.
There we go.
So here is a breakdown of each of our grade level schedules, just to kind of give you an idea. You can see the things to really highlight in there is our arrival is going to remain between 7:50 and 8 o'clock. And then the students are dismissed at 1:30, and dismissal will be from 1:30 to 1:40. What we did with our schedule was, instead of having the afternoon what they need time now, we took the what they need time and distributed it into our instructional blocks. The plan is that the students during their instructional blocks and their aim time will still get that what they need, that targeted intervention or any sort of enrichment within the actual class period. I know that it came up because now an instructional block went from 55 minutes to 70 minutes. So the instructional block increased 15 minutes. One thing that probably will not happen is that our virtual students will not be expected to stare at a screen for 70 minutes straight. And the reason being because they will have things that they will be doing, just like in a regular class period, where they will be working independently. Like I said, part of putting that what they need time in that instructional block is to give students targeted instruction. So even though they may not be connected staring, at the Zoom and being connected in that Zoom video conferencing, the teachers are still going to be monitoring them and their work through GoGuardian. And then they will be having individual conferences with them so that they can give them individual assistance on anything they need within that class and within that instructional time, instead of it being separated into the afternoon. The specials period is still going to remain a half hour. We didn't extend it to 40 minutes. We left it 30 minutes because our specials teachers assist us. Not only are there specials blocks scattered throughout the instructional times, but they assist during the scheduled aim periods to provide time for our teachers to continue to have PLC once a week. So they will be working with each grade level on SEL activities during that time. So here I just did a breakdown of what the times are in our current hybrid schedule compared to our extended day schedule, number of minutes. And again, this is just based on in-person instruction. So the half-day schedule that we have, I don't have on there the amount of time for what they need time, but I'm showing the comparison of the in-person instruction. So we increased our in-person instructional time an hour and 15 minutes. Just some quick things to note. Again, arrival and dismissal times in that schedule would be 7:50 to 8 and 1:30 to 1:40. What they need time I talked about. Another thing to mention is that advanced Spanish and GT, which are things that are happening during what they need time now, they will meet during the AIM period. And our special schedule is going to remain the same. So right now we're doing Monday and Thursday is JAG Day, Tuesday and Friday is Pride Day, and Wednesday is Health and PE and SEL, Wellness, Nutrition. We're doing Wellness Wednesday. We are continuing that even when we come back to 5 days, which we already started because we have the every other Wednesday. And our health and PE staff have created activities that they facilitate with all of the groups at one time and that they lead, and all of our specials teachers help to facilitate that within the classrooms.
Okay, before I move on to the bright yellow slide, does anybody have any questions from the board for Mrs. Supp?
Any questions? Go ahead.
I have a question. It's Stacy Brookbank. I wanted to understand better why the 2 weeks between switching from our current schedule to an extended day. I understand that there's more complicated schedules at Jordan Road, so that's why we're bringing them back in 5 days a little bit later. But once they're here, why are we not able to start with extended day on April 12th? Why does it have to wait 2 weeks to add a few more minutes to each period?
I'm not sure if I should answer that.
I was just going to say, I don't know if that's a Mrs. Supp question or if that's a Dr. Connery question, because it's a district-wide
It's a district-wide transition, district-wide from pre-K to 8, in order to make sure that when we phased into the 5-day, but then the transition to an extended day is going to be district-wide at the same time.
Okay, thank you. That answers it.
So your question is why the 2 weeks? Why not just, is that your question?
Well, right. Everyone's coming in at a different rate. So I understand that Dawes is in early already. Some of them are in 5 days, but at the middle school level, I just wasn't sure why we needed to wait 2 weeks to add 15 minutes to each of their instructional blocks when that time is so important. Couldn't we move that up to April 12th when they come back anyway? They're already here. And with all the synchronous learning of the virtual kids learning at the same time as the in-person kids, I was just curious if we could make that happen earlier.
We're trying to do a district transition.
Yep. You answered my question.
Yep. Any other questions for Mrs. Supp?
Is there another piece of this presentation that's the yellow slide? Or?
The yellow slide is actually, the yellow slide is just tomorrow is the last day. That's why it's obnoxiously yellow. And here is the contact information for families if they haven't reached out to one of us already. Mrs. Supp is obviously the contact at Jordan Road. Dawes Avenue is Dr. Koss, and I am New York Avenue. And I just wanted to say thank you to the Board of Education, the administrative team, the pandemic response team, SPEA, faculty and leadership, parents, community members, and of course, our resilient students for all of their support, time, feedback, and time. And I just wanted to ask if there are any more additional questions for the group.
Does the board have any questions at this time for either the principals or Dr. Carter regarding the move to more in-person instruction time? Okay, hearing none, I am going to open it up to the public. Does the public have any questions at this time regarding the move to 5-day in-person instruction? Come on up.
I just like the microphone. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Once again, Janine DeSaccio. Just a quick comment. I really would like to do a shout out to our custodians. I've seen them go above and beyond, and I know that you all recognize that, but I just, for my own self, would like to say thank you to them because they they're always available. They're always very detail oriented. They're always up and down the hallway, wiping down the handles and surfaces, and just very attentive and very like detail oriented. So thanks to them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other members of the public like to ask any questions or have comments regarding this plan? And for those watching at home, the phone number
609-927-1032.
You think I know this number by now? There's a block. I can't every time.
609-927-1032.
Due to the nature of this presentation, I just, normally we would, it's an agenda item, but people want to listen to the presentation first. So I want to make sure if anybody has any questions that wasn't answered in the presentation or any comment or concern, that they have a chance to express that. So I'll just give it a minute just in case.
While we're waiting, I would like to say thank you to Dr. Koss and Mrs. Sopp for all of your hard work. I do appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
No problem. Can't wait to have little people back in the building again.
Okay, so I'm hearing none from the public either here at home, so I will close that. And at this point, I need a motion to accept the proposal to reopen 5 days a week as recommended by Dr. Carney-Rayoder.
Motion, DeChico.
Thank you.
Second, Myers.
Thank you. Any questions? May I have a roll call?
Mrs. DeChico,
Yes.
Mrs. Samuelson,
Yes.
Dr. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mrs. Brookbank,
Yes.
Dr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mrs. Law, Mrs. Endicott,
Yes. Thank you. Motion approved. Okay, moving on to communications. I have a motion to approve items 7A through D, please.
What?
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions? I have a roll call, please.
Dr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mrs. DeChico,
Yes.
Mrs. Samuelson,
Yes.
Dr. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mrs. Brookbank,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
and Mrs. Endicott.
Yes, thank you. Motion approved. Okay, moving on to communications. We have no correspondence this evening, but we will move on to committee reports. Student and Community Affairs, Mrs. Law.
Okay, the committee met on Monday, March the 2nd. Mr. Thomas led a discussion about the current yearbook. He requested a full stipend for Ms. Quinn, who has taken on the yearbook committee as of February 8th. She's been meeting with students both in person and virtually 4 times weekly and putting in a lot of her own extra time. The deadline is March 26th, so it's a very big undertaking. We discussed end of the year activities, in particular for 8th graders. The administration is in the brainstorming planning stage right now. Some possibilities include student spotlights on social media, the dance, class pictures, and of course, graduation itself. And that's my report.
Thank you. Instruction, Mrs. Samuelson.
Sorry, I was getting my notes. We met twice this month. We met on March 4th to discuss the expansion of the in-person kindergarten programming as well as district communications related to that. We met again the following week on the 9th, and we reviewed the presentation that was just shared with us, and we asked lots of questions there, so not a big need to ask them tonight. We also discussed the 8th grade transition to the high school, and how can we best support our students in that transition. And we also discussed our current enrollment numbers and looking at ways we can maybe do some exit interviews to find out if there's some common threads in the children who are leaving our district. And that is our report.
Thank you, Mrs. Samuelson. Finance, Mr. Sweeter.
Mr. Sweeter
He's
is
not
present.
here.
Oh,
But if you want me to do it, I can do it for him.
I did not realize I thought I saw his name on the screen.
Would you like me to do it for him, Mrs. Endicott?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. It was really just a brief overview of what our budget looks like currently, and we're just moving forward with our budget presentation, which will be finalized and presented to the public on May 6th. And so that was really, we just shared that with a couple other district facility issues that we were dealing with, and that was the whole report.
Okay, we'll move on. We won't have a report for Foundation for Education then. And City Council, I have no new information to report this month. Moving on to Atlantic County School Board Association meeting. Dr. Dalton is typically our representative, but this month they had, instead of representatives attending, they had a county president's meeting, which I did attend. It was held last evening. There was a lot of legislative information and updates that were shared. Among them, the updates regarding, the updates or lack thereof, I should say, regarding standardized testing. We're still in a holding pattern in terms of the waiver has been filed with the federal government on the state of New Jersey. Only 11 states in the country have filed a waiver. New Jersey, one of them, for standardized testing. And there is no new information in terms of whether or not the feds will grant that waiver. At this time, they're recommending to push ahead and plan for standardized testing in some way, shape, or form. Most likely a smaller scale, but some way of testing. So that was among the legislative topics that were brought up last night, as well as just a general discussion from presidents among the county, Cape and Atlantic County, regarding the different things their boards have seen, what their districts are doing, and a lot are coping with many of the issues. We're all coping with a lot of the same issues, and that was pretty much the extent of the discussion. New Jersey School Board, Dr. Myers, do you have anything to report?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you very much. So that is it for committee reports. Any questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to 10, agreements, applications, and contracts. I have a motion to approve items 10A through D, please.
Motion, Dalton.
Thank you.
Second, DeChico.
Thank you. Any questions? We have a roll call, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Myers?
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Samuelson?
Yes.
Dr. Dalton?
Yes.
Mrs. Law?
Yes.
Mrs. Endicott?
Yes, thank you. Motion approved. Curriculum. I have a motion to approve item 11A, please.
Motion, Brookbank?
Thank you.
Second, DeChico.
Thank you. I have a question. The stipend. The stipend is paid. The stipend is paid for participating in the study, or how does that work? like, does NJPSA pay that stipend for us to participate in it? Or it was just a question.
Normally we have professional development that we're involved in, but I can get more details out to the board.
Okay, I was just curious. It was, I never realized, I know that we've been a part of the Connected Action Roadmap.
Since the beginning.
Right,
Yes.
since its inception, and I remember we used to talk about it in depth in instruction committee. That just struck my eye. I was just curious, that's all. Any other questions? May I have a roll call, please?
Dr. Myers,
Yes.
Mrs. Brookbank,
Yes.
Dr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mrs. Pacheco,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mrs. Samuelson,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Ms. Endicott.
Yes, thank you. Motion approved. Moving on to facilities. I have a motion to approve items 12A through B, please.
Motion.
Vote.
DeCicco.
Second Myers.
Thank you. Any
I'm
questions?
sorry, who was first?
DeCicco and then Myers. Any questions? May I have roll call, please?
Mrs. Brookbank,
Yes.
Mrs. Pacheco,
Yes.
Mrs. Samuelson,
Yes.
Dr. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Dr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
and Mrs. Endicott.
Yes, thank you. Motion approved. Okay, moving on to finance. I have a motion to approve item 13A, please.
Motion.
Second lot.
Thank you. Just to clarify for our benefit, but as well as for the public, what we're approving tonight is based upon what was presented to the public and to the board last meeting, correct?
Yes, this is the tentative budget, and we will have our final presentation on May 6th.
Any other questions? May I have roll call, please?
Mrs. Pacheco,
Yes.
Dr. Myers,
Yes.
Dr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mrs. Samuelson,
Yes.
Mrs. Brookbank,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
and Mrs. Endicott.
Yes, thank you. Motion approved. A motion to approve items 13B through H, please.
Motion. DeCicco.
Thank you.
Second Brookbank.
Thank you. Any questions? I have a question about the ESSER too. I know we talked about that last meeting and in finance. Do we have a date of when we would have to submit the information for those approvals?
The grant is due on May 14th,
Okay.
so we have April at the committee meetings
Mhm.
for board input.
Okay.
into the ESSER 2 monies.
Okay.
And then from there, the principals and the administration at our last administrative meeting was directed to come up with those types of programs that would satisfy the ESSER 2 programs that they would like to see as far as reopening, getting back, getting kids involved in school again, those types of things. So we have after the holiday, the spring break, we have that time during committee meetings that we'll be discussing it. It'll be on each committee.
I was just gonna say, I would like that to be put on the agenda for each committee, not just finance, because I would like student and community affairs and instruction as well to address the learning component as well as the psychosocial aspect.
And what we plan on doing is also providing you with the information of what the ESSER 2 not includes. It included 3 more topics
that you could use the monies for, as well as what was used under ESSER 1. So those would be provided, the administration was provided that last week to start thinking about what are you building for this summer? What are you going to build for next year? Because the grant will go until 2023. How are we going to do it? How are we going to shrink that achievement gap that may be lost by the children being virtual and at the time with the pandemic at the beginning not being in school? So there'll be a list of items where it's specific to how you can spend the money.
Right.
But they're pretty broad based, especially the 3 that they just opened up for the ESSER 2.
Okay, so we, our committee's meeting times fall during the holiday, so we're going to have to determine when we're meeting.
I actually moved them to the week after break.
So the 19th and 20th?
The week that we come back, so the April 12th, I have them moved for that month.
Well, I was going to say that at those meetings, if we have this on the agenda, I'd also like to, I'd also like for us to be presented with some information as to determine what the schools would like to spend it on. So that's why I'm thinking, is the first day back really a good time to have that meeting?
If there's board consensus to move it back a week, that's fine with me. I can move that.
I think,
what we can do, Dr. Fry, also would be helpful when you get input from the administration, and then at the May committee meeting, which is the beginning of May.
Right.
Because our board meeting, we won't, ESSER 2.
Dr. Ryan, could you use your microphone?
ESSER 2 won't be part, sure. ESSER 2 won't be part of the actual budget. All I have to do is put revenue and expenditures in without where it's being designated. So we could keep the finance, the committees the same as what you had planned last, but we can come back. We have a board meeting that Thursday, and then we meet with the administration for the next 2 weeks. And then we have committee meetings again. So at the beginning of May, that's when we would be able to bring forth a program to you as to what your input is and what the administration's input is, which is what they're getting from the staff that is going out. And then we can do it in May. We won't have a board meeting to approve the grant before it's due, but that's okay. We can say that the board meeting will be on such and such a date, and they'll accept the resolution afterwards.
and when is it due? When's the grant due by again? May what?
May 14th.
14th, okay. Okay, then that'll work. I just wanted to make sure there was enough time for the board to meet as well as to get that input from staff and administration in the building. So that was, okay. Any other questions? Okay, again, approving B through H. We already have a motion and a second. So may I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Chico.
Yes.
Dr. Myers. Dr. Myers left the meeting at 8:30. Dr. Dalton.
Yes.
Mrs. Samuelson.
Yes.
Mr. Conover.
Yes.
Mrs. Brookbank.
Yes.
Mrs. Wong.
Yes.
And Mrs. Endicott.
Yes, thank you. Motion approved. Okay, under personnel, I have a motion to approve 14A, please.
Motion, Brookbank.
Thank you.
Second, DeChico.
Thank you. Any questions? May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Chico.
Yes.
Mrs. Samuelson.
Yes.
Mr. Conover. Mrs. Brookbank.
Yes.
Dr. Dalton.
Yes.
Mrs. Wong.
Abstain.
And Mrs. Endicott.
Yes, Thank you. Motion approved. Okay, item 14B through C. I have a motion to approve, please.
Dalton, approve.
Second.
Any questions? Have a roll call, please.
Mrs. Samuelson,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Dr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mrs. Pacheco,
Yes.
Mrs. Forfang,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball,
Abstain.
and Mrs. Endicott.
Yes, thank you. Motion approved. Congratulations, Dr. Carter.
Thank you.
I have a motion to approve items 14D through N, please.
Shinlot.
Second, DeChico?
Any questions?
I was surprised to see G. If he's listening, tell him he's too young to be retiring. I don't know how that's happening, but wants to let him know.
He will be missed, for sure.
I don't have a question, but I already talked to Dr. Cry and just wanted to say thank you to Ms. Quinn for the hard work on yearbook. I know she has a short deadline and they're working really hard to pull it together. And they still need pictures of students who are virtual. So if teachers and parents can encourage their virtual students to send in pictures, I've seen that posted a lot.
And teacher bitmojis.
Any other questions? May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Pacheco,
Yes.
Mrs. Forfang,
Yes.
Dr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mrs. Samuelson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball,
Yes.
and Mrs. Endicott.
Yes, thank you. Motion approved. Congratulations, Mr. D'Alessio. Thank you for your service. Moving on to policies. May I have a motion to approve item 15A?
Motion, DeChico?
Second.
Any questions? Have a roll call, please.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mrs. Pacheco,
Yes.
Dr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mrs. Forfang,
Yes.
Mrs. Samuelson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball,
Yes.
and Mrs. Endicott.
Yes, thank you. Motion approved. I have a motion to approve first reading of the policies listed.
Lot.
Thank you.
Second, Brookbank.
Thank you. Any questions? A roll call, please.
Mrs. Forfang,
Yes.
Mrs. Pacheco,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mrs. Samuelson,
Yes.
Dr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mrs. Long,
Yes.
and Mrs. Endicott.
Yes, thank you. Motion approved. May I have a motion to approve items 15C through I, please?
Motion, DeChico?
Second.
Any questions? A roll call, please.
Mrs. Forfang,
Yes.
Mrs. Samuelson,
Yes.
is that a yes? Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Dr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mrs. Pacheco,
Yes.
Mrs. Long,
Yes.
Mrs. Endicott.
Yes, thank you. Motion approved. Or motion to approve item 16A.
Motion.
Thank you.
Second, DeChico?
Thank you. Any questions? No one else wants to come? Can I have a roll call?
Mrs. DeChico,
Yes.
Mrs. Brookbank,
Yes.
Dr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mrs. Samuelson,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mrs. Long,
Yes.
and Mrs. Endicott.
I'll abstain.
And if anyone else would like to attend this, please let me know. I can sign you up and we'll get you on the next agenda. Okay?
And just to throw in there, if you, my understanding is, no, it's not my understanding. I know it because I heard them say it last night. If you sign up for this workshop, you will have access to it after the date that it's given. So if it's kind of like I can't do it on that day, that's not the issue because you can access it anytime. I believe it's either 6 months or a year till afterward. So I don't know if that changes anyone's mind, but that was kind of why I signed up for it because I knew since I didn't have to be kind of held down to one particular day.
Is the date in the motion?
It's wrong.
Okay, so is it the 12th?
I just noticed that. We'll correct the date in that. Yeah, we're going backwards. Yes. Yes.
No, thank you.
No, I'll correct the date in that. But there are recording sessions that you can attend. It's like the fall conference that they had. A number of you have signed up for it. And they're available for almost a year for the next year that you can go and look at them at any time. They'll give you a phone number.
Okay, moving on. Can I have a motion to approve items 17, 18, and 19, please? Transfer of funds, secretary and treasurer's financial reports.
Motion, DeChico?
Thank you.
Second, Lot.
Thank you. Any questions? May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Brookbank,
Yes.
Mrs. DeChico,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mrs. Samuelson,
Yes.
Dr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
and Mrs. Endicott.
Yes, thank you. Motion approved. And I need a motion to pay the bills for this month, please.
Motion, DeChico?
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Chico, thank you for doing the bills for us this month.
You're welcome.
Any questions? Have a roll call, please.
Dr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mrs. DeChico,
Yes.
and a fine job she did. One of the pages were missing from the bill list, and she found that, and another singular bill was missed on a bill list. So she brought it to our attention and we corrected it. So thank you very much. We appreciate that.
You're welcome. I know it was a test. You're just
No.
testing me.
I was afraid they
No,
were.
but it would have been a test for the auditors. We don't want that. Mrs. Brookbank,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mrs. Samuelson,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
and Mrs. Endicott.
Yes, thank you. Motion approved. Okay, board forum. Any members of the board like to speak? No? Okay, hearing none, I'll open it up to public comment. Any members of the public like to address the board?
Hello, everyone. My name is Janice Johnson, and I am your City Council President this year.
Hi.
So I'm here tonight just to introduce myself to you. I don't know most of you. Mrs. Endicott we did meet with her, and it was a pleasure speaking to her and getting updated. I know what this school board does. I served on mainland school board several years ago, and I know the job that you have, the tasks that you do, and I know how involved it is, and I thank you for everything that you do. One of my goals as president this year throughout the whole city, every entity, is to open up the lines of communication. As city council members, we get a lot of questions about the school board. What are they doing? Why are they doing this? What are they doing about that? On and on and on. And mostly we don't have any answers because we're not here. We're not listening, not doing what we're doing tonight. So we're going to change that. Our committee, our liaisons for council will be council member Stacey Ferrari and council member Karen Bruno. One of them will be here at hopefully at every one of your meetings. One of them will be here to report back to council what you're doing and what you're accomplishing so that we have answers to questions from the public. People think that we have something to do with the school board and we make decisions. And so we just want to be able to give support. And if maybe there's something that comes up that we can help you with and support you on, we want to be aware of that and to open up those lines of communications. So we just want to let you know who we are. This was great tonight, just listening to all the updates and the presentations. And it really is eye-opening because most people don't know what you do. So we'd like to get that word out there on the hard work that you're doing. So please, we're here to listen. Anything at all that we can do for you. Councilwoman Mafuri also has some comments. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stacey Ferrari. Nice to meet everybody. And thank you all for all your hard work. I know this has probably been such a challenge with this hybrid and homeschooling and virtual and everything that's going on. And you guys are amazing right here. Your presentation was awesome. And I'm super impressed with the program you guys have going on. If I had a little one, I would want them to be in your program. So
Get the word out.
really, I was super impressed, really impressed with their program. So one of the things that I wanted to bring up this evening, and I know that it's been sent to you guys already, was this solar, the solar concept on the Dawes Avenue school because of the new roof. And I don't know if you guys have discussed that and where the roof project stands at this point. And I have some information I could share with you regarding the solar, and maybe you guys could share some information with me as well.
Well, actually, when we met last month, I had let you guys know that we were already getting the solar, not just on Dawes, but we were looking at it for all of our buildings. So
Okay.
we're already. That's been it's been a labor of love for this board for a long time in terms of getting solar panels for this
Okay.
district. So it's finally coming to fruition.
That's great.
So it's something
Do you
that
already
we
have a company and?
Mr. Sweeter should have been here for this one.
Yes, I know. I saw him on the minutes from the meeting that he was in charge of that. Could I maybe get in contact with him regarding that?
You can provide any information you have to our board secretary, to Dr. Romer, if you'd like to provide information.
Okay,
on that.
great,
Mhm.
great. I'll be happy to do that. Okay, so I'll be in contact with you then.
We'll make sure you have our contact information. so that if you need
Excellent.
to get us in front of you.
Excellent. And we're super excited that you guys are on board with that because it's such a great thing for the schools and for the city. So excellent. And anything that we can do for you guys, please reach out. Any questions that you have, we're here for you. And Karen and I, where's Karen? Karen and I one of us will do our best to be at the meetings, and please reach out if we can do anything.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Solar on my last district that I worked in.
Oh, excellent. Oh, that's great.
We're working with our architect, working with our finance committee on
Great.
which direction we want to go.
Great.
And if you notice about cleaning up on the roof today, that was the good thing.
Great, great. I know, in the rain, great, great. Oh, I'm super excited about that. That's excellent.
Thank you. And thank you guys for coming. I appreciate that. And again, if you have any questions in between or in the meantime, feel free to reach out to me as the city council liaison. So feel free, don't feel like you have to wait in between meetings. If you have a question, feel free to reach out and let me know. Any other members of the public like to address the board? Just going to give it a minute in case somebody is calling from home.
And the number is
I have it right here.
679-927-1032. I figure I might as well add.
Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close public comments. I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion, DeChico?
Second, Dalton.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.